as good a day as any.
It's too hot to use a blanket, so I'm using this shuka to cover myself.
To start the rebuilding of life, the roads that lay open are many. When the old one's gone under the knife, and I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw from within. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today is a good day to live.
Hello and welcome to the channel. Welcome here in Umoja. My name is Dennis Uhuru and I'm back in the big city. I'm back in Nairobi to try and see what we can make of ourselves in 2026. You know, make some plans, make some moves. It's going to be a good year, I have no doubt about it. Today's video is just me settling into the city. I have a few errands to run. We'll do that together. We'll tell a few stories. I have a few brutal takes, a few interesting stories, but we'll talk about that in the video. It's going to be a good one. Right now though, I'm ready to buy breakfast, and the reason I have a bag on my shoulder is because I'm doing a bit of work in the house, and to try and save on time, I thought I'd just go to a local restaurant close by and buy 2 cups of tea in my, what do you call it, jug. I have a jug in this bag, but we'll also get some sweet potatoes, or nduma, whichever works for us. So once we do that, then we'll be good. We'll be good. After breakfast, I need to go to Upper Hill to NTSA offices. Sometime last year, towards the end of December, I received a text notification from NTSA that my logbook was ready. So I need to go and pick that up. I think that's a special event. But then the video will just progress slowly, nicely, and yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy. So I've arrived at the sweet potatoes place. Let me grab some. Sasa ma'am, salamia watu New Year, unajua hawajakuona. Umejificha nyuma ya thermos. Haya sasa niwekee nduma ya 50 Hii inakwanga nini?
Hiyo? Hiyo inaitwa butternut.
Butternut. Oh, hiyo ndio butternut, Guys, so I've bought my nduma and now I want to buy tea, 2 polite teas here. Hello? Sasa ndio hii. Niwekea hapa chai mbili polite, Guys, I'm back with my breakfast of nduma and tea. Right, so that's the breakfast. Do not be overly concerned if the nduma looks little. Nduma is a very interesting dish in that you do not need to have it in plenty before you are satisfied. A few bites of nduma is all you need. This is adequate nduma for the freedom boy. You know, let me chew it. Let me chew it. Oh my goodness. If you hear some knocking sounds, that's my carpenter neighbor going about his business. Eh? So that's fine. You know, sometimes in life you're presented with the new information, right? That's always an interesting phenomenon because it requires a certain disposition to accept new information, because really what new information reveals, especially if it's true, is that you are not as wise as you thought you were. You know, you are not as knowledgeable as you thought you were, and it requires a certain degree of humility to accept that. Most people don't like how that feels. The other day, I was talking to a certain lady on Instagram. She was telling me about how she had gone on a date and how on that date she had a Caesar salad, right? That's the meal she had. But I didn't know what a Caesar salad was, so I asked her, Caesar like Julius Caesar? And she was like, who's that? And so what that revealed is that both of us were lacking in information. I didn't know what a Caesar salad was. Likewise, the lady didn't know who Julius Caesar was, right? She told me what a Caesar salad was, and I told her who Julius Caesar was. And both of us benefited from that exchange of information. Both of us came out the better for it. Eh? But sometimes new information is not comforting, it's not simple. Sometimes it shakes up your entire reality. And these are the kinds of new information that most people don't like to accept. Yeah, some people will actually hate you for enlightening them in this manner. A story is told of a certain gentleman that wanted to go from Nairobi to Mombasa. It just so happened that this gentleman didn't know which route to take to go to Mombasa. But they wanted to go to Mombasa. And so they went to a supermarket to do a bit of shopping here and there in preparation for the journey. And they made a friend in the supermarket. And they were just talking. And they told this friend that, you know, I'm planning to go to Mombasa. I'm planning to drive from Nairobi to Mombasa. And the friend was like, all right, I wish you well in your journey, right? I wish you well in your journey. The friend didn't know that the first gentleman, the one who intended to make the journey, didn't know how to get there. So let's call the first gentleman Eric. Eric is a good name. Yeah, so Eric wanted to go from Nairobi to Mombasa, but didn't know how to get there. And his friend, let's call his friend Robert. Robert also didn't know that Eric didn't know how to get to Mombasa from Nairobi. So once they finished speaking in the supermarket, Robert went his merry way, and Eric, you know, finished his shopping and got back to the house. And then he put his shopping in the car, got in the car and set out for Mombasa. Right. But then Eric got into the car, set out, and took the route heading to Nakuru. I'll try to put the map of Kenya as a B-roll as I tell you this story, and you will be able to see. Of course, you guys know, those of you that are in Kenya know that Nakuru is nowhere near Mombasa. If you're setting off from Nairobi to head to Mombasa, and you start heading towards Nakuru, then you are headed the wrong direction, right? But Eric didn't know that, so he started heading towards Nakuru. And he drove and drove and drove, and after a few hours, he was in Nakuru. He made a stopover at a certain hotel to, replenish his energy, to chew something. And he sat down and, ordered for a road runner to chew. And just sat there and started enjoying this meal. But then as he started enjoying this meal, a waiter at the restaurant was just going about his business, And Eric spotted that waiter and realized that it was someone they'd gone with to school. He realized that that was a classmate of his. And so he hailed him, he called him, "Hey, let's call this waiter Moses. Hey Moses, how are you? You remember me?" And Moses looked over and, recognized Eric. And so Moses came over. And Eric was one of those people that, liked to feel important about themselves. And very quickly, he could see that Moses had not done very well in life, right? He started sort of like patronizing Moses, talking to him about, how are you? How are you these days? Huh? And is this the job that you're doing right now? Do you have other plans? Because, being a waiter is not a very rewarding job. You may end up wasting a lot of time in this place. These days, I'm a business person in Nairobi, and business has been going well. I actually just bought a new car. It's parked right out there. It's a Prado TX. That's that kind of talk. Moses took it all in stride, and Moses was like, to deflect the conversation, "Where are you headed right now?" And Eric said, right now I'm headed to Mombasa. I'm actually making good time. It's only 10 in the morning. So I'm making good time. I'm making good time. And Moses was confused. So Moses asked, "Where did you begin your journey?" And Eric responded, "What kind of question is that? I told you I work in Nairobi. I began my journey this morning." And Moses, just to be sure, went further to ask, "And you say you are headed to Mombasa?" And Eric was like, "Yes, I'm headed to Mombasa. That's what I just said." But then Moses said, "But if you're headed to Mombasa, this is not the route that goes to Mombasa. You are on the wrong route." You are on the wrong route. New information. New information. And Moses said, "This is not the route that goes to Mombasa. To go to Mombasa from Nairobi, you are not supposed to be anywhere near Nakuru." Eric was offended. "What do you mean this is not the route that goes to Mombasa? Who are you to tell me this is not the route that goes to Mombasa? Do you have a car to tell me this is not the route that goes to Mombasa? Which course did you study in the university to tell me this is not the route that goes to Mombasa? Who do you know in this country to tell me this is not the route that goes to Mombasa? How much money do you have in your bank account to tell me this is not the route that goes to Mombasa?" Yes, that is what happened with new information. It is upsetting, and sometimes it comes from people who you'd rather it not come from. So Eric got on the road, didn't listen to Moses, and continued on his way. But all of you know what happened. All of you know what happened. Not knowing where Mombasa is, that's a honest mistake. Anyone can make that mistake. What the wise person would do in Nakuru is turn around, start heading back to Nairobi. He would have wasted some time, but it would not be too late. We could still get to Mombasa. the person who is opposite of wise, continued heading in that wrong direction, well, there's no hope for that person to get to Mombasa. Right, that is the story of new information. Let me chew this, and then we'll head to NTSA to pick up my logbook.
Alright guys, so I want to set out for Upper Hill to go and pick my logbook from NTSA. That is a special thing. What is the date today? Today is 15th January 2026, and the Freedom Boy is on his way to pick his logbook. It's not lost on me, the significance of that. Alright, so we just set out, right? Let's set out. Alright. Oh my goodness. It is always a special feeling to step into the Honda Fit and then, you know, take out on a drive. It always feels surreal. Even now that I've had the car for like going on maybe 2 months now. Let me post this song. Yeah, I think I'm almost hitting 2 months with the car, but every time I step out, get into the car and start driving, it feels special. Perhaps the day will come when it no longer feels special, but I hope that special feeling lasts for a bit. It feels good. It feels good. Yeah. Maybe that's because I've been using my Futsubishi for a very long time. I'm 31, and you know, I got my car at 31, and that is those are many years that I used my Futsubishi. And the other thing related to that is, you know, Kenyan roads are not the most relaxing to drive on, and so most of the time, you know, I used to see on the internet a phenomena called road rage. It wasn't easy for me to understand before I had a car. But then I got my hands on a car, and all of a sudden it makes sense to me. And the reason for that, I think, is because, you know, all these vehicles that people are driving on the road, especially the personal vehicles, they cost a lot of money. You know, for most people, a car is the biggest investment or the biggest expenditure they've incurred in their lives up to that point. You know, some of them are still paying for their cars. You know, they've taken out credit facilities in banks and things like that. And you know, car maintenance and, you know, repairing vehicles is very expensive. So if someone is going to do something stupid and you know, make you incur costs that you had not intended to incur, you get very angry all of a sudden. Most often these issues of reckless driving are caused by matatu drivers, you know, and sometimes I have to cool myself down and remind myself that it was only yesterday that I was using those matatus entirely, depending on them entirely for moving around. I still use them from time to time, of course, but back then I had no other choice. Matatus were the only thing I could use. So these days, whenever they do something stupid, for example, sometimes they overtake you and then stop right in front of you, and then I'm throwing my hands, "Hey, bana! What you doing, bana?" And then I have to cool myself down. Cool down, Freedom Boy. Cool down. It was only yesterday that you were in those matatus, you know? And also, God is slow to anger and abounding in love. so cool down. But it's always very difficult to be slow to anger on the roads of Nairobi. Yeah? A few minutes after reminding myself of those facts, somebody does something stupid again, and I'm like, wewe bana, wewe unafanya nini bro? It's very interesting. You know, a car is a very expensive thing. And at some point, I think a car owns you. You do not own it. You know, it starts exercising some power over you, which is, God will help us overcome that. But right guys, let me head over to NTSA. You know, we'll speak on the way. Let me, you know, do a bit of driving here, and then I'll talk to you in a bit.
I was never the one to write up a song for just anyone. I was always the one to find myself lost in long conversations. Oh, cause I've always been told that things will unfold if you keep on waiting. But then you came along and proved me all wrong. I was so mistaken, cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm in Upper Hill. I've already picked up my logbook. Of course, you guys understand that I could not go to the, what do we call it, the NTSA offices with my camera. So I just left my car at some spot. And I went to the NTSA offices, and I have my logbook right here. And I'm looking at it. It's a special feeling. I've also received a notification from NTSA that my logbook has been collected, which of course is a good thing to know that no one can collect your logbook without you finding out. I'm looking at it, and it says owner's name, Dennis Ouru. This Honda Fit was registered in Kenya in the year 2019, which is very interesting because it means that this car landed in Kenya in 2019, in Mombasa, of course, at the ports. But the interesting thing about 2019 is that I came to Nairobi in 2019 as well, around May. That's when I moved in with my aunt. At the time, of course, my aunt was hosting me, and I was working as an insurance agent. And I was not in a very good place. But to think that even at that time, 2019, when I came to Nairobi, my car had already landed in Kenya. You know? That's an interesting thing if you think about it. Here I was, a young man in Nairobi, trying to, you know, walk around, sell insurance, make ends meet. I had no prospects, but my car was already in the country. Of course, it was owned by somebody else, but it was my car. It was going to be my car in future. Interesting. And that is one of the reasons I bought this car, because when I was looking over different units, I saw that and I was like, yeah, it's like this was meant to be mine. This was meant to be mine. Also, as you guys know, number 19 is my number. I was number 19 in the children's home that I grew up in, right? So, number 19 is a number. It's a number that is dear to my heart. Oh my goodness, it's a special feeling. I have a logbook. I have a logbook. All right, so at this point, I just want to drive to the house, and then once I get to the house, we'll talk some more. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back in the house, and I have my logbook with me now. I'm very happy about that. I think I need to do the freedom comment of the week. This week's freedom comment is by one Throttle Rider. This is what they had to say. I am a silent viewer. I started watching you when my TV YouTube recommended your channel to me. I've been watching your vlogs silently
And all I can say is I love your positive reaction to everything and everyone around you. May your mom recover quickly, and I wish you well in this new year. For those of you that didn't watch the last week's video, I spoke about how my mom fell and broke her hand on 1st of January 2026. That's what Throttle Rider is referring to by saying, may your mom recover quickly. So thank you, Throttle Rider, and I wish you well in the new year as well. I'm not concerned myself about that. I just feel that I need to talk about that to benefit one or two freedom fighters. I feel that if I talk about these things and one or two people come out of the video with new information, then it's a good thing, right? And also the paranormal, things to do with witchcraft and the spiritual weigh heavy on very many people. Very many people occupy the spaces they occupy, but carry a lot of weight with regards to things that maybe don't work out in their lives, and they question whether the reason things are not working out is because of the paranormal or the spiritual, whether they've been cast, or whether there are powers that operate in the world other than those that they know, other than the human element, of course, right? And I thought I should shed some light on it because I've been given grace to know about a few things in that area. There are certain things I may not be at liberty to discuss on YouTube because they would make me a target, but there are certain things I can talk about. So that which I can talk about, I'll talk about. The first thing we need to establish is, are there powers in operation in the world apart from the human element? Witchcraft and wizardry, things that are beyond us, that we cannot explain. Because very many people are looking for the truth and they don't know where to find it, and they can't quite, establish whether there is truth to that, or whether all these things are false, whether, they don't quite understand. Right? Okay, so are there powers in operation in the world? Well, the answer to that question is yes, there are. Do not be naive. Of course, God does not exist in a vacuum. Okay? So there are powers in operation in the world. But I'll go further and provide evidence of these powers, mostly in the Bible, because I feel that the Bible is a good authority on this subject. We will just focus on certain areas. The first area is Ephesians 6 and verses 12, which says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." So there's that. There's that, right? For we wrestle not against flesh, but against powers and principalities, against spiritual wickedness in high places. The second area is in Psalms 82 verse 1. Let's look at that. "God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods." All right? Other version says God judges in the council of gods, or things like this. God, I am, is above them all. I like to refer to God by names such as I am, because if I just say God, people worship very different things and call them God. But I'm referring to I am, the God of Moses, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, of Jacob, of Daniel, so that there is no confusion, all right? So I am is above all these powers and principalities. He judgeth amongst the gods, all right? That's the second area, evidence that says God does not exist in a vacuum, and that powers separate from God exist. All right. Another area that I'd like us to look at is Daniel 10 and verse 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 120 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. If you read verse 12 of this chapter, it talks about how an angel was sent to Daniel from God, right, with a certain message. But then this angel told Daniel that, Daniel, God sent me to you, but on my way, the prince of Persia resisted me for 21 days. Basically, this prince of Persia is one of the powers that exist in the high places. And this prince of Persia stood in the way of this angel and stopped this message from reaching Daniel for 21 days. And then what happened is Michael was sent from God. Those of you that don't know who Michael is one of the more powerful angels in heaven. I've said it before on this channel that there is no equality in heaven. People are not equal in heaven. So whenever people talk about equality, I'm like, get those people away from me. They'll make my life difficult. We are not equal. So Michael, one of the chief princes, this is how this angel that was sent to Daniel refers to Michael. Michael, one of the chief princes, came and helped me, and I was able to find my way to you. So basically what Michael came and did is, Michael came and helped this angel overcome the prince of Persia. Okay? And do not think that this prince of Persia was a human prince. These powers, like the Bible says, occupy principalities. So this one was called the prince of Persia, and he had dominion over that area in that time. Signifies that all these powers, all these principalities hold no candle to the power of God. Okay? So that is proof that powers exist. Witchcraft is real, and all these other forces of darkness that people talk about, they exist, they are real. It would be naive to bury your head in the sand and say they do not. Just because to admit that they exist feels like an inconvenience. And that feels like it would shake your version of reality. The truth is the truth, whether you like it or not. There's a friend of mine that doesn't believe in God. I have friends of all kinds. Jesus Christ was friends with all manner of people. This friend of mine doesn't believe in God, but sometimes I tell him some brutal truths here and there. Sometimes I coddle him and, tell him about how God is slow to anger and abounding in love. But sometimes I give him a bit of tough love. And so I told him, the truth is a sword. Whether or not you believe in a sword, it will still cut you. Yeah? The other time I also told him, what kind of God would God be if your belief in Him mattered in the slightest? Believing in God, if you believe in God, it's not you doing Him a favor, it's the other way around. It doesn't matter to God. It doesn't change anything for God if you believe in Him or if you don't. It's actually a favor for you, to help you, because this life is entirely spiritual. All right? Okay. And we usually have very nice debates with him. One time I asked him, so you don't believe in God, so then what do you believe in? And he told me all manner of rationalizations. you know, this Christianity is a white man's religion. It came from the West. I told him, well, you go and look at your history books. Christianity did not come from the West. It actually started in the Middle East. Okay. But the other thing I also told him is, I used to think like you. I used to think myself very wise. All these things you're thinking about, I thought about them. I interrogated them. Alright? I have seen. I've told you guys over and over again. I have seen evidence, real evidence that God exists and is with me. Those evidences, if I told you, you guys would not believe. But then I told him, no, leave alone where you think Christianity came from. What do you believe in? And he said, I believe in the ancestors. I said, okay, valid. You think you believe in the ancestors. Would you define ancestors for me? These are my forebearers, people that came before me, clansmen from many years ago. All right, valid. So then I told him, you believe these people are benevolent and they mean well for you? Yes. I asked him, are you in good terms with all of your family right now, those that are alive? He was like, no, I'm not. So then I asked him, those families of yours that are alive, you're not in good terms with all of them, but you believe that all your ancestors who are dead mean well for you and are benevolent. He didn't know what to say to that. But then I also asked him, so then if you die today and your children have children and their children have children and their children have children, at some point you would be an ancestor to these people, right? It was like, yeah, I get your argument. That's true. That follows logic. So then I told him, what is special about you right now that those people would worship you right now, as confused as you are? What miracle do you think happens when you die to make you divine? So that those that come after you will worship you. He didn't know what to say to that either. Anyway, I've told you guys, I've given you evidence from the Bible that powers exist. But I'm not concerned. And I'll tell you why I'm not concerned. And perhaps this will also help one or two freedom fighters to not be concerned too much about this. The first reason I'm not concerned is in John chapter 1 and verse 12. And this is what it says. It says, but as to those who received him, to those who believed in him, he gave them the right to be called the sons of God. If I were you, I'd dance a little bit. If I were you, I'd just dance a little bit. Do you know the significance of that? Other version says, but as many as received him. This, of course, is referring to Jesus Christ. But as many as received him, as many as accepted him, as many as believed in him, he gave them the right to be called the sons of God. If you knew what that means, you just dance a little bit. If you've read the things that God has done in the Bible, for example, if you knew what it meant to be able to call God your Father, and then to know that you've been given the right to be called a son of God, you just dance. You just... You know, I've said it many times that I have very many failings. I have very many failings. Very many things that I am not worthy is what I'm saying. I'm not worthy. You know the way sometimes parents among you will understand. You know the way sometimes you have children and you have your favorite children, and then you have some of your children who are wayward. Yeah, but they're still your children. Say for example, you have a child who is wayward, but then a neighbor comes across him one day out there and slaps him, bah! And slaps him again, bah! And slaps him a third time, bah! And then they run home to you and tell you, Dad, man, someone has slapped me out there. They are your wayward son, but they are still your son, alright? And you would react in a manner that reflects that. It is the same thing with me. I am perhaps the least of God's children. I am perhaps the least, but I'm still a child of God. I'm still a son. And what that means is God will be there for me. Alright? What's the second reason? The second reason I have to read, because I don't know it offhand. It is from Matthew 10, from verse 29. Are 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside your Father's care. And even the very hairs of your head are numbered. So don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. God takes notice of something as little as a bird falling to the ground. It says, a bird will not fall to the ground without your Father in heaven noticing. And then it goes further to say that all the hairs, you see these hairs? All of them are numbered. God knows the number of these hairs on my head. Alright? And then it goes on to say, if God takes notice of a bird when it falls to the ground, what about you? You are more valuable than a bird. That is what it says. That is what it says. That is the second reason I'm not concerned about all these other very many powers and principalities. You know, information, knowledge is power, and knowledge allows you to occupy a certain disposition or space. You know, without knowledge you will suffer. You will have a lot of weight on your back, but knowledge lifts some of that weight off while adding others, because with great power comes great responsibility. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that watcheth over thee will not slumber. Behold, he that watcheth over Israel will not slumber nor sleep. One of my favorite verses in the Bible. Psalms 121:3. It's beautiful. And often when the Bible talks about Israel, most people like to think that it's talking about Israel, the geographical region. That's not what it means. It means Israel, the people of God, the children of God, the sons of God, those that received Him after Jesus Christ was crucified in the Bible and died and resurrected. Everyone that believes Him, everyone that accepts Him is Israel. Okay? So when the Bible says, he that watcheth over thee will not slumber, behold, he that watcheth over Israel will not slumber or sleep. If you accepted that Jesus Christ was crucified for your sake and then died and resurrected, then you are Israel. And even the name Israel is a beautiful, it has a beautiful meaning. It means we who wrestle with God. That's the third or fourth reason that I'm not concerned. Right guys, today is the following day. Yesterday I wasn't able to finish the video, but today is the following day. I just want to wrap this video up. I feel that it's going to be very long. I haven't even begun editing it, but I feel it's going to be very long. I've also changed back into my champion shirt. It's very comfortable to wear in the house. So we spoke about powers yesterday. I wanted to talk a bit about curses, but I feel the video is too long. So for curses, I'll just leave you with 2 verses that you can encourage yourself with. The first is in Proverbs, I think, that says, a curse without a cause will not stick. There has to be a reason behind a curse for it to stick. If there's no reason behind it, it will not stick. Alright, perhaps I'll give you one example of a cause. Say, for example, you are employed in a government office to manage the health ministry, and you take some billions and buy your children, what do we call them? G-wagons. And people are dying in the hospitals because money that was meant to them for them has not reached. There is a cause. The other verse is in Numbers. What does it say? It says, there is no spell, there is no divination against Jacob, no spell against Israel. Or maybe it's the other way around. There is no spell against Jacob, no divination against Israel. If you position yourself in such a manner that you are Israel, and I spoke about that yesterday, how to be Israel, how to be a son of God, then the Bible says there is no divination against Jacob, no spell against Israel. They will not work. All right. I feel this video has been long enough. It has been preachy enough. Let's bring it to a close. What other news did I want to give you guys? Mom is doing okay. My big brother is looking after her. She's recovering well. In next week's video, I think we will do the video I promised you guys about how I bought my car in Nairobi. The main reason I want to do that is because I promised the gentleman that helped me do the pre-purchase inspections that I'd feature him in that video so that he can get some business. So we'll do that video. And then in next week's video as well, I will reveal to you my plan for this year, part of this year at least, to the video or videos that I want to do, and we'll see how that goes. Alright guys, so if this is your first time to the channel, subscribe to the channel, leave your thoughts in the comment section, let me know what you think, and then I'll see you in the next video.